Hello, CST 110 team. Welcome to our lecture on Monroe's motivated sequence. In this lecture, you will learn about the formula to help you design your persuasive speech outline. One item that I want you to note today is that you will need to listen for 2 key words in our lecture. When you hear the key words, you will want to make sure you jot them down on a sheet of paper or a Word document and then enter them into the journal activity due for this week. So remember, 2 key words for this week's hybrid activity. Now let's go ahead and discuss what are the 5 steps of Monroe's motivated sequence. Well, here we go. The 5 steps include the attention, the need, the satisfaction, the visualization, and the action steps. Similar to an essay that you may write for any of your other classes, these steps compose your introduction, the body, and conclusion of your message. The attention step will be your introduction. The body will consist of the need, satisfaction, and visualization steps, and the action step will consist of your conclusion. So as we continue forward in this presentation, you will go ahead and learn about the key items that you must include in each of these steps. Let's start with the attention step. The attention step, again, is your introduction, and it should consist of about 45 to 50 seconds of your speech. So it's very brief. You're getting straight to the point. This is why we begin with what we call our attention getter. The attention getter are the first set of words that you say in your speech to immediately grab your audience's attention and intrigue them. In other words, you're making them think, ooh, I want to learn more about what you have to say. What is this cause? What is this organization that you're going to tell us about? Now, if you're wondering, how do I grab people's attention for a speech? Don't worry, because in a moment, we'll teach you how to do so. Once you have entered your attention getter, then you'll go ahead and connect to the audience. And for this section, I want you to include about 2 sentences. So first, I want you to address, why should we ultimately care about the problem you're about to address in your message? In other words, how does the problem have the potential to influence or impact us? Then, I want you to think about the key words we have been referring to in the past few weeks. The purpose statement. Are you here to reinforce beliefs because your audience members already support your cause or organization? Are you here to change beliefs because your audience members feel neutral or disfavor your topic? And then remind us, what action will you want to seek from us? What do you want us to do as a result of your speech after we listen to your message? Insert these 2 statements, and the connection to the audience will help to demonstrate you are an ethical speaker, because it will show that you are carefully considering our needs, our attitudes, and our beliefs. Now, in step 3, this is where you build your competence, because remember, based on chapter 1, we learned you want to demonstrate both ethics and competence. So here's how you do that. Tell us, why should we trust you? Do you have personal experience with the subject you are going to talk about? Or what type of research have you completed for this speech assignment? Remind us whether you have credibility based on personal experience or the research. So this section should also be about 1 to 2 sentences in length. Finally, wrap up your introduction with your preview statement. Your preview statement allows your audience members to create an outline in their mind so they know exactly what you're going to talk about in your speech. Tell us briefly what is the problem you will address, and then let us know that you will offer a solution. If you want to keep your audience members in suspense, then go ahead and tell them, I will give you a solution later in my speech. So that way they don't immediately know what the name of your organization or cause is, and they're kept in suspense, especially when you are describing the urgency to resolve this problem. So again, 4 items for the attention step which should consist of about 45 to 50 seconds of content for your speech delivery. If you're wondering, how do I grab my audience's attention? Well, here are some tips for you. Remember the following. Select one of these techniques because we don't have all the time in the world for our introduction. So you can pick an interesting statistic or fact, and I want you to note the word interesting. If your audience members already know about this fact or statistic and it's not new information, then they're going to lose interest. So if you come in and say, "Did you know that all college students are sleepy?" Your audience members might think, "Yep, I'm sleepy right now," and they'll lose interest. They may even fall asleep in your message. So give us an interesting statistic or fact so that your audience members think, "Wow, I did not know that. Tell me more." The second option is to give a quote from someone that may relate to the problem you are about to address. Third, you can tell a story, and the story may either be a testimony from someone else or a personal narrative. For instance, if you were going to talk about the problem of homelessness and you experienced being homeless, then you could briefly tell us about how it felt to be homeless. What were some of the struggles that you encountered? And then you could continue elaborating on your story in the body of your speech. Fourth, you can ask a question. And if you ask a question, then ask yourself, do I want it to be rhetorical? In other words, do I want my audience members to respond or not? And if you want a response, then anticipate what type of feedback may you receive. So if you ask a closed-ended question, a question that people respond yes or no, what will you say if your audience members say yes? What will you say if they all say no? And if your audience members don't give you feedback when you had hoped that they would, what will you say then? By anticipating the audience's feedback, you will be able to have a smoother delivery for your message. Finally, you may refer to a recent event taking place in the nation or the world to go ahead and bring a focus down to your audience members and help them understand this is what we will talk about in my speech today. Let's go ahead and take a look at a specific example of an attention getter. If a student was interested in persuading his or her peers to go out and vote, then the student may say, "Why is a vote important?" Many times, a single vote has changed the course of history. In 1776, one vote gave America the English language instead of German. In 1845, one vote brought Texas and California into the Union. In 1868, one vote saved President Andrew Johnson from impeachment. And in 1923, one vote determined the leader of a new political party in Munich. His name was Adolf Hitler. This information was provided by Julia Hughes Jones, who is an Arkansas State auditor. Note how the student has integrated both the author's full name and credentials at the end of this citation. This information helps to further build the speaker credibility, and it's exactly what we want to see from you when you deliver your message. Okay, so you've grabbed your audience members' attention. You've made them say, "Ooh, I want to hear more." Next, you go ahead and bring in the body of the message. And you start with the need step. Consider the need step to be where you discuss the problem. And for the purpose of this outline, we will go ahead and use logos in the form of deductive reasoning. We will open up with the general statement that states the problem you are discussing in the message. So if we are talking about the overpopulation of animals on the streets, then we'll go ahead and say the problem that we have in our county is the overpopulation of animals. Then the next items will consist of your supporting materials or your evidence. This is where you bring in the research, and you'll want to separate every single fact, statistic, example, whatever supporting materials you have. Furthermore, you will want to vary the supporting materials because remember, if you include too many facts or statistics, you risk boring the audience. And if you include too many examples, then you may not be able to reach out to the audience members that prefer learning based off of statistics and facts. So have a variety of supporting materials to reach out to the audience members' unique learning styles. So let's look at this example. In item number 2, I might include a statistic of how many animals are currently on the streets, at least according to the county animal shelter. And then in item 3, I'll go ahead and add additional supporting materials to create tension and ultimately build an urgency to resolve the problem as soon as possible. So I might insert an image on my PowerPoint and provide a description of an animal that was found on the streets. Maybe this animal had been on the streets for the past 6 months and it had never received a haircut, so you could hardly see its eyes. And it was suffering from various infections. It had heartworm disease, so I might describe what is heartworm disease. Ultimately, like I said, this information should make your audience members think, wow, this problem is really bad. What do we need to do to resolve it? Additionally, you may go ahead and relate the evidence to the audience. In other words, tell them how the overpopulation of animals may impact them or someone that they know. Finally, the need step will need you to wrap up with a concluding statement. That's the very last piece of deductive reasoning. So you give us a general statement of the problem, then you provide the evidence, and finally you wrap up and remind us what is the problem at hand? What do we ultimately need to resolve? And as you see at the bottom of this section, you must include at least one source for this section. Once you have elaborated on the problem step, then you will discuss the satisfaction step, in which you will tell us what is the solution. So, tell us, what is the name of the organization that you are proposing us to advocate for? Or verbally state, what is your proposed solution? So if you are advocating for us to have free or affordable textbooks, tell us, I am here to tell you about my strategy for us to be able to purchase affordable textbooks. And then if you take the route of the organization, explain the type of work that they complete and give us specific details. So don't just say, this organization does a bunch of great things for animals. They save animals. They love animals. Tell us specifically, what do they do to help the animals? If you take the route of the cause, then go ahead and explain how your proposed solution will develop. What do affordable textbooks consist of? What type of resources can we use? In step 3, you'll tell us how this organization or your proposed solution ultimately helps to resolve the problem. And if you are using the route of an organization, then you may look at charitynavigator.org. That's charitynavigator.org, because this website helps you understand where all of their funding goes. So your audience members ultimately understand how the funds go to help out to resolve the problem. Finally, remember to include one counter argument at the end of the satisfaction step. This is where you will tell us, what would the opposing side say against your organization or your cause? In other words, your peers might say, how can I trust your organization? How do I know where the funding goes to? And that's where you give us a logical rebuttal. Note, we want to make sure it's logical, not attacking the other side and telling them you're wrong or your counter argument is dumb. Go ahead and tell us why the counter argument or opposing side is incorrect. And similar to the need step, you'll need to include one source for this section. So you may wonder, how long do these sections need to be? Well, the need and satisfaction step should be about 1 minute and 30 seconds in length. So here's your keyword for now, team. The keyword is rebuttal. REBUTTAL. That's keyword number 1.